Hello, people of the world on YouTube, and hopefully my future little lynxes. I am Omicron Lynx, and this is my first ever video on my channel, Thoughts and Opinions. My thoughts, my opinions. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. We'll see. I'd like to start my first video by first apologizing with the quality of my audio, some of the sound in the background, and the overall image quality. This is my first channel, and I just a week ago stopped working and started YouTube. So bear with me. Of course, the noise is traffic. But I think, just my opinion, that the view in the background, which with this video is a little bit smaller, but I think the view of my mother's luscious backyard is worth the big American vehicles going down the street in the background. But anyways, let's get on with my first channel. I'd also like to apologize or cop to maybe some edits. Videos are edited on YouTube. I don't know if you knew that. On top of my many health issues, one of them is allergies, and it is the very end of August, and my allergies are all over the place. There may have been an edit there. So, I'd like to start this first episode on this particular topic right here. This is an image that a friend and now former co-worker of mine posted on his Facebook channel. He agrees with it. I know he agrees with it. It aligns with his overall points of views. It is my thought and my opinion. The thought itself is something that is detrimental to our society. I mean, do we not know what it is to be humans? Are we not at least taking a moment? I want to start, actually. I'm going to put a pause on this for a moment. I should probably start with my 3 personal principles. 3. I don't have one. One is the loneliest number. One is all by itself. Where's the check? Where's the balance? One thing actually has, in this 3-dimensional world, multiple sides. So, which side of that one thing do you take? My 3 principles. Moderation. And moderation doesn't mean standing in the middle, because that's its opposite. That's extremism, if you only do it. Moderation means go outside moderately. No, go outside sometimes, stay inside sometimes. You're a little bit of an extrovert, you're a little bit of an introvert. Everything in moderation adjusted to you as an individual. I highly dislike extremism and divisiveness, this way or that way, here or there, black or white, and then some moron thinks he's a genius and says, sometimes it's gray. Well, black, white, gray, you're trying to metaphoricize life with colors. Have we not seen a rainbow? Which black and white play into? But it's much more than that. And then there's shades. And then, well, black and white, you apply them to red. And you get blood red, burgundy, and then you get pink. And then you also have electric colors, neon colors, faded colors, baby colors, glossy colors, dull colors, metallic colors. I'm a rambler. But anyways, moderation. My second principle is consideration. Consideration is in consider. Think about what you want to do. Take a moment. Think about the pros and the cons. Think about the consequences if you were to follow suit in your decision. Think about the long-term cause and effect of your decisions and what you're attempting to do. But again, first principle, moderation. So also consider things in moderation. And the third, final principle is acceptance. Accept what, within moderation, you took into consideration. I mean, people who are extreme zealots frustrate me. People who just are loaded with blockheaded obstinacy. I'm doing what I'm doing because it's like what I like to do or what I think it should be done. It's what my father told me. It's what my mother told me. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of things that my parents told me, and I take them into consideration. But I do not take them to supersede the laws of reality. I do not take them to be absolutisms. I do not copy, cut, and paste. Extremism, abstinencism, and denial and hypocrisy. You say that this is your principle, this is what you believe in, but you don't accept the consequences of that decision. You just deny it, or you pin it on someone else. So my three principles: moderation, consideration, and acceptance. Do we not take any consideration? Back to the topic at hand. Do not consider at all. Do not take a moment to think. School. How much time do you have in school? I mean, what type of extremism are we going to? If we want math, science, English, social studies / geometry / history, phys ed, and art, and then we want taxes, coding, cooking, insurance, basic home repair, self-defense, survival skills, social etiquette, personal finance, public speaking, car maintenance, and stress maintenance. School systems can barely handle the primary things that they need to deal with. A handful of things. They can barely handle that. And then you want to add on this whole list? What is this? I'll tell you what this is. Something that in the 90s, well, starting in the 80s, the hypothesis that these high divorce rates will ruin the insular family dynamic and thus corrode the development of human society, that the development of children will cease to be. And believe it or not, as someone born in 84, who also has a stellar memory and a very analytical mind, I watched it happen. I watched more and more of my friends, more and more of the people in my neighborhood, more and more people in my schools, more and more people betrayed on television in families with single parents. And then I also watched as capitalism, instead of overtaking sections of our democracy, they just overtook our democracy. I mean, the Commonwealth in which I live used to have a plethora of blue laws, what we call here in America, blue laws pertaining to blue-collar citizens, or the working class man, inspired by good Christian values. Massive credit card debt, getting rid of our blue laws. Instead of most people, at least in my state, Commonwealth, of having weekends off, especially Sunday, unless your job was vital to society, unless you were a police officer, a firefighter, a doctor, you had Sunday off. And while, of course, there's always been late second shift jobs and third shift jobs, so many jobs, people got home between 3 and 6 o'clock. And into the 90s, especially as we hit 96, I mean, the way I feel the world changed between 95 and 97, 96, I mean, a big change. So many people divorced, so many people going to work, leaving work, going to work, and going home. That this job, that job, people here, people there. And I'm Italian on one side, I have Italian heritage on one side, Irish heritage on the other, big family, I mean big family, cousins, aunts, uncles, and both of my families are also have the characteristic and the mentality, someone's doing good onto you, someone needs help, you do good onto them, you give them the helping hand. And there's a lot of people that grew up in the neighborhoods that my families were isolated in, and that saw my family as family. In the retail job that I work, so many people I'd bring up either one of my family names and say, "Oh, you're one of them," or how's so and so doing? They were my family. I spent more time over your grandparents' house than I did at my own house. Where is that? Where is any of that? Which goes to this whole thing here. This is family. This is not public, cut, copy, paste, generic education. Math is math. 1 plus 1, regardless of what a politician tells you, is 2. Science. While we learn new things, and planets might not be planets anymore, Pluto, but it's done from the scientific method. And it's done by checking data. True science is done by objective, counterbalance, check and balance, logical, deductive reasoning. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with what you think. It's a fact. Math is a fact. Science is a fact. History. It's history. It happened. It came, it went, it's gone. It happened. But it's written down. And quite often by people who are using their own personal opinions to write about it, or secondhand information. Sometimes the enemy. But it happened. We just got to figure it out. And while politics caused the past, it's the past. It happened. Politics should not have an effect on telling the present what happened. And English has rules. Grammar and communication. We all communicate individually, but there's still a structure to it. There's a structure to what a word means, and then there's what words mean to individual people. But as a part of learning English, it's about learning first and foremost what words objectively mean, like according to the dictionary and history. And then also the practice, I should say, teaching the awareness of the speaker and the listener, and that the listener's job is to listen to the speaker and try to figure out the concept and the idea that the speaker's trying to convey with their words, not what their words mean to you. So understanding that system, trying to get everybody on the same page in reading words and listening to people. And when you're trying to communicate, understand that there's what the word means to you and there's what the word means to other people. So you can select the correct words, we can all be on the same page, we can all communicate with each other as a society. So math, fact, science, well, science, fact, English, fact, art is creativity. And the art that we teach in public schools is not whimsical art, it's not actually expressionism. What art is about, and the reason we try our best to, while many schools have taken art away, the reason we have art is to assist with creativity, while also getting people to understand the categories and the pre-established groupings of art, so we all know how to communicate and how to express creatively while still being understood and not so individual and so on our own or not understood, which might be why the world and the extreme lefties in pushing extreme individualism all feel left out, isolated, and individual, because they're only focusing on being an individual and not, well, let's also point out, again, the world is not black or white, it's not here or there, right? It's a complexity of colors. You're an individual that's a part of a society. Society, groups of people, are exactly that, a group of people, individual humans coming together to be people. Multiple sides of the same coin. You need to give up some of who you are to hang out with other people. Like, clowns, they don't scare me, they don't creep me out, I don't find them funny. Clowns, blasé, whatever. Clowns, not much to me. But there are people out there, maybe because of it, but there are people out, clowns of outer space, but there are people out there that are scared of clowns. And of course there are people out there that love clowns, think that clowns are great. If you're someone that loves clowns, and a friend of yours doesn't, guess what? You shouldn't be talking about clowns. But here's the thing. You like clowns, you think clowns are great, but are clowns the only thing that you're interested in? This person either is a friend of yours or could be a friend of yours. But if you're clinging on to just this one thing that divides you two, what a sad world. What a sad thing. Compromise, people. Compromise. But anyways. So, how should we get back on topic here? Because, again, I'm a rambler. Probably lost a lot of people right now. But anyways, the art that we're teaching in school is about group expressionism. It's about, again, expressing yourself as an individual in a way that you can be a part of a group, that you can individually be a part of a group, that your creativism can be understood, can be a part of the group. And also, of course, when you're out there in the world and you're doing things, when you're working on projects, when you're part of a company, you need to be a problem solver. You need to be creative. But you need to be creative. It's a part of a group. And that's actually what art, an art class in a school is supposed to be about. Art, expressing yourself as a group, and inspiring creativity that contributes to society. And then physical education, educating physical activity. You know, we're human beings, we need to exercise. Your children are in school for hours, 5 days a week. What a full-time job. And, well, I don't know, instead of just sitting on their butts at a desk, learning, working one muscle, how about they work their body? Work it. Phys ed in school is about the human body. And I also think that that's also a big problem. Phys ed, physical education. I think the biggest problem is that schools have treated physical education not as physical education, but as gym class. What it originally was, gym class. It's just exercising, just instructing people to exercise. I think a change that should be made is it actually being physical education, that it is children going to school, exercising themselves to energize themselves, and not being lazy tabalardies, but it presented in a way where children learn about the human body and exercising and what contributes to your overall health and what takes away from it. What is the correct way to exercise and the incorrect way as a human being? These are all core things. These are all established. They're facts. There is... I cannot put my hand through this table without breaking it. I can't perform a magic trick. Physical reality. Established. These things are not absolute. Taxes. You know how complicated taxes are? You know how complicated coding is? But also, coding. Why should coding... And then this word. Mandatory. Mandatory. You have to do it. It needs to be taught. It is as equal as science and math. Every single school, every child in a public school needs to learn these things. Why does everybody need to know coding? Because computers are the way of it. Why does everybody need to know coding? Why does everybody, especially, I'm going to point it out again, and now again, I do not align myself with either political party, but the Republican Party so far only has one flaw: their stance on abortion. You need to be free. What does what someone else does have to do with you? You're trying to tell everybody no, instead of you were you and you were you. You be you, you be you. And then of course you want to talk about individualism. Actually, it's the other party. And that party, the Democratic Party, the divisiveness, the this or that, the incompetence, the amount of propaganda and actually subconscious psychological poppycockery that these people are doing to divide the nation and separate us in groups and cater towards the whiny crybaby that refuses to accept reality. We're catering to the people of the late 90s and the 21st century. People that were not taught by their parents. People whose parents thought of themselves as glorified babysitters and were drastically bogged down by American political systems and capitalism. Debt, 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 debt. Work hard, work hard, work hard. Still in debt, I don't have time for you, kid. And then technology. I don't have time for you. Here, play a game on the phone. Here, portable gaming system. Here, console. Put a TV and a PC in your room. Go play a game. So they're not being parented by their parents. Their parents are telling them yes or no, not because it's correct or incorrect or acceptable or unacceptable by society. Their parents are telling them yes or no based on what I'm in the mood and what I'm not in the mood for. So they think that when someone tells them no, when society tells them no, it's not because it is no, it's because I don't want you to. I'm being mean to you. That's not what I like. Because that's the mood their parents gave them. I'm not in the mood for this. Go away. Alright, I'm ready to play with you now. But I only want to play this with you. But at the same time, where is the parent? At work? Sleeping. Getting themselves food. And throwing fast food at their children. Who is existing in the delusional video game world to then be added on to by social media. Yeah. But anyways. So the thing is that whether you want to talk about America before the 90s, you want to talk about the Republic of Germany, the Nazi fascist state of Germany, the Empire of Germany, the Holy Roman German Empire, the Kingdom of Germany, the tribal chiefdoms of Germany, the German Confederate, whatever it was. Germany, of course, underneath the Charlemagne Empire, which led it to end up becoming the Holy Roman Empire, or actually the Holy Roman German Empire. Not interesting, huh? Or even if we're talking about the ancient dynasties of the Central Plains, China. That's a topic I'm going to get into. It's not China. Please, I probably just edited out a little rant. But, so, whether you're talking about ancient Zhonghua, Nihon Koku, Japan, Daehan and Chosun, which would have been Chosun, Goryeo, Korea. Wherever you go in the world, these things are not things that are taught by society. These are things that are, well, they're not taught by the government. They're taught by your parents and or legal guardians and society when you're out in it. Your parent cooks for themselves and cooks for you. Your parent does their insurance, and ipso facto, when you're a little kid, they do your insurance. They do basic repairs around the house. If they're not, well, here's the other thing. The way to do basic home repair, pay someone else to do it who knows how to do it. That's also how you do basic home repair. Right? Survival skills. Again, not everybody needs coding. Survival skills. You know how open-ended this is? Are we talking about Native American survival skills? Are we talking about traditional country survival skills? Those, like, being out in the country, hunting and fishing and making moonshine? What are we talking? Are we talking about the zombie apocalypse? Are we talking about you're just lost in the woods? Are we talking about just standard, you were hiking? How to stay on course or find your way back if you ended up off path? What are we talking about in that? Personal finances. My personal finances are different than your personal finances. There's no general thing to any of this, which is why families taught it. In ancient China, in ancient Japan, in Britain, in jolly old England, way back when, before Britain, in France, families teach this. These are principles of family values. Your parents and or legal guardians to help you as a baby human being and grow up into an adult. is responsible for teaching you these things. You have a dog, you're responsible for teaching it how, when, and where to poop and pee. Cleaning it, feeding it, all that other stuff. Well, a human child that either you gave birth to, you adopted, or you somehow, way, shape, or form became the designated legal custodian of. I hope you're not just providing for the child, that you're parenting the child, that you're raising the child. Parenting is providing for and raising a little kid up into adulthood. All of this stuff. I mean, the ridiculousness. Stress management. You know how you manage stress? Deal with it. And find your own personal outlet. What makes you happy? Society cannot determine what stresses you out and how you handle it. You want to do therapy culture? So everybody has a therapist? Remember, this is America. And for those of you who haven't, you could watch my introductory video. And those of you who have, I have a lot of health issues. And our health system, I mean, you want to pay a therapist? Now, I've heard that in Spain, probably in the big cities and out of the country, it's actually quite common for people to have a therapist just to talk to. Not necessarily because they're stressed out, but to simply prevent it. Which I also find kind of interesting with their midday siestas. You have stress, you shut down for several hours, for a few hours every day of the week. What are you stressed out about in Spain? Go enjoy the view. Look at a castle. Oh, you've seen it before. Probably more interested in a little yellow school bus, I hear. But anyways, stress management, car maintenance. So, with all these things here, I mean, self-defense. Give me a break. Go take a martial arts class. That's after school stuff. I mean, do parents or people promoting this list, have you never heard of after school activities? You never heard of parents saying, I'm taking my child to karate class? My kid does taekwondo. My kid does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. My kid after school has guitar lessons, does band practice. And then also, I mean, cooking, car maintenance, even survival skill, technically. Have you not heard of trade schools? Do you not realize trade schools exist? Which, well, all this jibba jabba, and I've been jibba jabby, wabby wabby, running my mouth for far too long now. I should probably think of wrapping this up. Still gonna be a bit jibba jabba. I'm just gonna focus on car maintenance. This overall, very clearly extreme left, socially divisive, blame someone else. Let's do what we can to get the future generation, the spoiled generation, to vote for our party, poppycock. Car maintenance. You're really, really trying to manipulate the bahooty dooties out of society. Car maintenance. This is a multi-layered, complex thing that you put on here, which is also, I think, why you put everything out. I mean, everything else here. I mean, you got like the survival skills, self-defense, basic home repair, cooking. That's catering to pre-96. That's catering to, hey, Older millennials, Gen X through boomers, please vote for us. We have good old fashioned American things that we want to put in the educational system. Then, of course, you put things like taxes, um, was it social etiquette, personal public speaking, and stress management. Hey, you later millennials, you Gen Zs and you Gen As, we have you in mind. We're going to teach you how to speak in public, deal with your stress. I mean, what does that have to do with anything? That's stuff that you learn hanging out with your friends. That's stuff that, I mean, do your parents not cook for you? How do you eat other than fast food? But again, that's also a part of providing for the necessity of food, especially how the world is going. Why do you need to learn how to cook? There's an app for that. There's my food. Someone just dropped it off. But again, chibba jabba. Car maintenance. The old world, like my dad. My dad was big into cars. He wanted to be a car mechanic. He went to trade school to be a car mechanic. And then realized how messed up dealerships are. And my maternal grandfather showed him how to operate a wastewater treatment plant. He liked that a lot more. It's amazing how many people are more willing to deal with literal poo-poos than deal with the metaphorical other people's poo-poo stuff. I'd rather dip you poop down the toilet than the poop that comes out of your mouth. But there are trade schools out there. There are people who get a job on how to maintain vehicles. Maintaining vehicles is the traditional father-son thing, but it doesn't need to be a father-son thing, and you don't need to say it doesn't need to be masculine. Well, in a way, it is. When you deal with mythology, symbolism, energy of things, but the way that you can word it more is masculine activity. And again, understand the difference between an adjective and a noun. I used to work in a hardware store, and the amount of people that say that they want a chop saw. It's not a chop saw. It's a miter saw. And the miter saw can chop or slide. And you want to say, well, obviously that means I meant a chopping one. Well, a machine cutoff saw, which is for masonry and metal, not for wood. In the residential hardware tool market, only chops. In the commercial market, it chops, or you can get these fancy sliding ones that an uncle of mine used to deal with before he had enough of that corporate stuff and now works for himself in basic home and advanced home repair. So again, these are trade schools. Have you not heard of trade schools? Your child can choose. You can choose whether your child continues on in the generic school system or goes to a trade school. Which then also brings me to the other side. And then the other side of it is those pushing this list. Extreme left-wing leftists. Pushing electric cars. You can't go to a trade school to figure out how to work on an actual full-blown electric car. You need a college degree in electromechanical engineering. And with how advanced and complicated electric cars are, with all these wires, but most importantly the fact that the majority of the vehicle is a gigantic chemical battery. And as someone who worked in a hardware store, with the pushing of the battery-operated power tools and all the people that come in because their batteries ain't working. And the battery, the price of a battery, and when the battery goes, that's it, the battery's gone. you need to replace the battery. So you're going to replace a $5,000 to $20,000 battery. That's pretty much how much a car costs. You're going to have to buy another car. So you're telling people that you can't go to a trade. You're telling people that general public schools should teach absolutely everything. That essentially children should live in schools. They shouldn't go to school. They should go there and stay there from dawn till dusk and dusk till dawn again. I mean, because we're going to teach children everything. Why leave anything for the parents? But you're saying to work on a car, you need a college education. You need to waste all this money on a college. You need this sophisticated, 4, 6, 8 years at a college or a university. Learn all this stuff to fix a car. And then to come to find out, most of the issues that an electric car is going to experience are too complicated to fix or are not fixable. And then not to mention the fact that if we go electric cars, auto body shop, auto mechanical shop, the car educational part of a trade school, gas stations, oil tankers, oil rigs, oil trucks, oil refineries. Everybody that works for all those things without a job. And all of those things, those gigantic heaps of metal, what do we do with it? Think of, as a personal opinion of mine, to become a more advanced society and to think more about going forth into the future, I think that America needs to become a little less, I'm not saying not, I'm saying a little less of a car society and a little bit more of a public transportation. And that goes with this, car maintenance. So switching from mechanical automobiles to an electric powered ones. And I would like everybody to take a moment to think. Not about the creation, not about the use of a mechanical car as opposed to the use of an electric car. Think about the creation of a mechanical car and think about the creation of an electric car. And even more so, think of how long do good mechanical cars, Japanese, how long do they last? How much waste do they create with their parts? And what is done and what can be done with them when they're considered giant heaping metal paperweights? Versus how long does or would an electric car last? And what is done and what can be done when an electric car is considered a gigantic chemical metallic paperweight? What is done with the lithium cells in that gigantic battery? I covered a little of this, I covered a little of that, had a lot of thoughts, had a lot of opinions. And the whole thing is, with this wrap-up, there's a lot of improvements that need to be made with schools. And none of it has to do with what we're teaching. It has to do with how teachers are teaching. Teachers need to stop putting the troubled kid in the back of the class and the smart kid in the front of the class. That needs to stop. You put the troubled kid in the front of the class because they need you, one-on-one. And you put the smart kid in the back of the class because the smart kid is smart. He's capable of figuring it out. He doesn't need you as much. And then, of course, if you put the smarter kids in the back of the class, the smart kid, so the medium intelligent kids are between you and the smart kids. When you're focusing on the kids that need you, the kids that don't need you can help out the moderate kids. This whole thing of you're disrupting the class, sit in the back, further away from your sphere of influence, and then the kid acts out even more. So then go to the principal's office, and then the principal sends them home, and then they miss out on class, and then they end up causing trouble, and then you reprimand them and call them names and you belittle them, and they're not worth your time because you push them. The one that needs you, the one with difficulty, you push them away. And then you and society throws them away into juvie and prison. That's the issue with their educational system. The other issue with their educational system, because there's a second one, and that's the cut and paste mentality. And our educational system's inability to deal with the extreme outsides of individuality. Those who act out, those who have learning disabilities, and those with great intelligence that see beyond the cut and paste answer. And teachers' inability to be able to recognize and deal with a child that's smarter than the cut and paste reiteratory educational system. Our educational system, when there's someone who's smart and thinks beyond things, thinks beyond the cut and paste, gets failed grades. You fail. You're wrong. What do you mean I'm wrong? This is correct. I mean, it would be like, think about before our scientific community realized that Pluto is not a planet. A child in school who learns about what a planet is interested in astronomy and goes into the data and presents to the class that Pluto is not a planet. And because, we're in the early 1990s or the late 1980s, the teacher says, "Oh, that's a great hypothesis. A lot of great ideas there, but you're wrong. Fail." Those two things. That's what's wrong with our educational system. How we teach our students. Not what we're teaching our students. So far, all the things that we teach our students are things that our students should be taught by the general education system provided for by the government. All of these things are things that your parents should be teaching you. And people who want to make the argument that your parent doesn't know how to cook, your parent doesn't know how to code, well, there's two things. Do you, as an individual, need to learn how to cook or code? Oh, actually, wait a minute. Maybe we should start with, do you, as an individual, have the capability, the capacity to cook? I mean, your argument is that your parent can't cook. Your parent is a parent, gave birth to you, you're growing up. And, so your parent is surviving, you surviving, so cooking isn't really a necessity. Having food is a necessity. But, are you capable of cooking? Or just like your parent, are you not capable of cooking? And coding. I mean, not everybody needs to know how to code. Yes, we're going the way of electronics until the Russians or the Chinese hit us with a 3-phase atomic EMP pulse. Or until there is one of the gigantic, massive solar flares. Then, survival skills will come in handy. as well as a gigantic cleansing of the human race when we lose technology. But all these things your parents can teach you, and not everybody needs to learn. Everybody does not need to learn all of these things. And then also, actually, let me go back to car maintenance. If car maintenance is not repairing the car, if you just mean cleaning the car and car operation, well, as far as I'm concerned, it's something that I thought when I bought my vehicles. And when I see people out on the street, and when I hear people talk about going to the dealership, I mean, these people want commission. And their commission is thousands of dollars. I think that the car dealer should be responsible for making sure that someone buying a car doesn't just like the car that they're buying and feel comfortable driving it. I think that car dealerships should be responsible for making sure that everyone who purchases a vehicle knows how to operate said vehicle, whether or not that person wants to be shown how to operate the vehicle. I may have worked for a retail store, and when you go out into a retail store, there's a lot of people that just cut, copy, paste the advertising propaganda of the retail company and whatever it's pushing to meet its stats. And then, of course, you get a lot of the idiots that don't know how to do their job and don't care to know how to do their job. But I care. I care. I researched the bejesus out of everything. The history of the companies, the current state of the companies, the history of the quality of the tools, the current quality of the tools. Why are there 7 different drills? Because they all have different torque capacities. And you need different torque capacities depending on the density of the material you're trying to drill into. There are different impact drivers because they have different torque capacities that are supposed to combat the density of the material you're trying to drive a screw into. So, unlike some of my coworkers, when a customer said, I need a drill, would just say, here's a drill. Which one do you want? And hand them a drill. And then several hours later, as I'm the closer, here's the customer up at the service desk complaining that we sold them a hunk of junk. We did not sell them a hunk of junk. The associate didn't bother to ask you what you were doing. You didn't bother to tell the associate what you were using the drill for. You are, at the very least, and most commonly, the customer chose the drill based on how much money they had and how often they were using it. Doesn't matter how often, well, it can matter how often you're using it. But again, torque capacity versus density. It has not to do with how often you're using the drill, but for the specific task you're using the drill for. Laws of physics trump what you want. That drill was not a bad drill. That drill was simply the incorrect tool for the job you were trying to do. And if you spoke with me, I would have asked you what you were using the drill for. And 75% of the time, I'd probably tell you you need an impact driver, not a drill. And to stay away from that yellow company. Do we bother to think? And we need to understand, we need to recognize the difference between subjective and objective. We need to recognize the difference between me as an individual and everybody as a society. The difference between how I want to run me and my household and how the government is going to run everybody. When the government tells everybody what they can and can't do, that's fascism. when the masses come together and talk about different issues and vote on general things, a general direction that we want to go in, vote on it and go with what the majority of the people vote on. That is democracy. That is freedom. And technically, I mean, if the majority of the people believe that, we need to enforce this. Well, in all actuality, you're practicing democratic fascism. But you cannot have true democracy in a nation of 350 million people. So you need a democratic republic. And that's another thing too. Again, chop saw, miter saw. We need to understand the difference between an adjective and a noun. This is not a democracy. It's a democratic republic. It is a republic. Republic is what this is. It's not a democracy. It's a republic. It's a republic where the representatives, republic means government with representatives, where the representatives are voted upon not by plutocracy, not by aristocracy, but by democracy. Democratic republic. Adjective, noun. Take things to their completion. A fact is only a fact as it is a fact. If you take any of it away, it is not a fact. Probably lost a lot of you along the way. Maybe some of you listen to me jibber jabber until the end. Remember, my apologies, it's my first video. And these are my thoughts and opinions on this and a whole bunch of other things along the way. For those of you who followed me until the end, I would like to thank you for being with me until the end. This is Omicron Links, wishing all my little Linkses and the people out there of the world on YouTube a great day.